to have this That Floats happy hour just to get everybody together and see one who's alive, check in on all our friends, and kind of talk about how we're coping with what's going on here with COVID-19 and the coronavirus.
That's right. Well, officially, welcome to That Floats Live happy hour.
Yep.
Appreciate you all being here. I talked to David on the way home from work the other day and said, "How did you make it to 5 o'clock?" And we just, I think we've been celebrating every day we get to 5 o'clock as check it off that we made it one more day. This weekend should be kind of entertaining or interesting, but yeah, we appreciate you all joining. We'll record it after this. David will send it to me and we'll put it up online. So if you don't want to speak, knowing that this is recorded and will be shared with the internets, you've been warned.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. We did one of these yesterday with our office folks just to remain sane. And we had about twice as many as what's on this Hollywood Squares that you're seeing right here. And it was just kind of fun to get together and commiserate and just share what we're doing. We had some employees that hadn't met each other before. So, that's something that we're doing. We're utilizing Zoom a lot. And, that kind of leads us into our first question for you guys. How are you prepared for this? What are you doing? Amy, what's Natick doing to prepare for this? Or in the middle of it, since we're not really preparing anymore, we're just doing?
Well, first of all, I am thrilled to be on That Floats. I've wanted to be on That Floats since the very first episode. But it took the zombie apocalypse to make that happen, so I don't know what that's supposed to mean, David. But
it's a very high bar.
By the way, I am drinking the Quarantini.
Oh, excellent.
And it is as disgusting as it looks.
That's pretty bad.
So to answer your question, to be honest with you, Natick, we haven't really felt it from, I guess, the standpoint of a lot of people do. We're all scattered across the country and we're used to working remotely. So from that, it's been business as usual for most of us all week. It's just dealing with, obviously a lot of questions from our agents.
Got it. Let's see. Maureen, you guys were, the epicenter here for this.
Yes.
Tell us about Washington State.
Washington State is probably, I'm surprised to say we haven't actually gotten a shelter-in-place notification yet. I think most of the companies in the Seattle area probably have sent most of their employees home. But a lot of us are scattered out in more rural areas. So, I know my operation was not really set up for remote work. And so it's been an interesting week. We've been running around buying up laptops and getting people set up so they can go home. And I always try to find silver linings in situations that are out of my control. And I think my big silver lining in this is I've wanted to be a more digital company, and now we're being violently shoved that direction, and people are finally seeing the value of it. So we also don't have our RON rules in place yet. We got the law passed last year, but we have like an October 1 start date. And so I'm agitating very hard with our state title association and working with our state realtor association to try and accomplish what Wisconsin just did and get them to do an emergency override and move that date up, just in case the federal legislation doesn't come through.
Oh yeah.
We literally called the governor's office in Wisconsin on Monday and said, we have an idea. You passed the RON law 3 weeks ago and asked all summer and into the fall to have the rules and the protocol set up. Can we speed that up? It's done in other states. Can we just have notaries that are already RON enabled in other states also help us here? And they said, that sounds like a great idea. And I think the governor's lawyer or one of them said, there are people dying here, so let's see what we can do. And then by the end of the next day, they had written some emergency rules that allowed us to expedite the RON thing. So I don't know if Cornelia, do you know any, or does anyone familiar enough with? I noticed in Alta's news today about the push for federal RON implementation.
Yeah, the federal bill has been introduced. It didn't make it into the big third package of relief, but that wasn't really expected. Most of the judiciary stuff didn't get in there, but it is still, they're still actively working it, and hopefully we'll get some movement on it pretty quickly. The House isn't in right now, but we do have some folks over there that are willing to co-sponsor it once they do come back in. So we'll, be working it from both sides.
I think I've heard from most people and several of you guys that are on the screen in front of me now that lenders just aren't quite ready for RON, and we've scrambled to get ready for RON, and we'd love to accommodate the massive volume of closings that we're facing. At the same time, we're trying to reduce the number of in-person, face-to-face visits. So
Right.
We've got RON in the 4 states that we're operating in to where we can eliminate sellers coming to the closing table, get the deeds and the title affidavits out of the way. At least half of the party can stay home, and we'll get you your proceeds check some other way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I saw something in Texas. Somebody commented on one of our LinkedIn posts that they wish Texas lenders were more up to speed too. So and Texas has been a RON state for a long time. So I'm hoping this kind of kicks them into high gear.
Brian and Brett, give us, especially with like it's the HELOCs, or there's some loans that cannot be closed in the people's houses. Give us a rundown of what's going on there.
Yeah, a lot of our lenders have been real slow to adopt. I think they wanted to see some case law behind it, but in Texas, any home equity's got to be closed in the office of the title company by statute. So we're still having to do all those in the office. We can't do them by RON, but I think we've probably done, last I looked, somewhere between 40 and 50 RON transactions this month already.
That's outstanding. Angela, you're in banking. How's this affecting you?
It's funny. I've worked from home for quite a while, but the nice thing is that as a bank, we are more than prepared and ready. Our wire room has always worked remotely if needed in the event of weather. So we are completely working from home. We have some of our branches open, but we've always touted that our clients can bank from anywhere at any time. We've put the remote check scanners in their offices for a reason. We're still able to get out certified checks to them if needed. Our refis are booming on our home lending side. And so I have talked to most of my clients, and, there's still business as usual, and there's still a lot of inventory. I personally just listed a house, signed the listing agreement today for my mom's home in Kansas. And, we're going to get through this. On a personal note, owning a couple of restaurants is pretty difficult when they're closed down in the state of Maryland. So I'm literally sitting in my bar alone. You can see we've pulled a lot of the liquor, and it's normally this time on a Friday live music, and we have our wines that we're selling to go. The county of Maryland the Montgomery County, Maryland changed the law. We can sell beer and wine to go, so we're selling growlers and food. But other than that, we're at the bank, we're doing great and doing what we have been doing. So it's really nice.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you joined on, because I kind of wanted to see the lender perspective here on now with you guys on lending. Are your rates rock bottom right now, or have you throttled where you're trying to control? I've heard a lot of banks controlling volume by not giving the lowest rates they can.
So we do a little of that. It depends on if it's on, we're also a very large commercial lender in our area in terms of business. I've always been known as a business bank for the most part. So it's coupled. But I know that we are diligent and continuing to work, and everybody is, we did a couple of test days work from home last week. So we've been very proactive, and, we're fully work from home, and we are, we're doing everything we need to be doing. And that's exciting. It's exciting to see it work. I hate to say that, but you put all of these processes in place. And you're right, the rate, it's, we can only handle so much, if that makes
Yep.
sense.
Ooh, feedback.
Yeah, sorry.
Maureen, you guys do need to buy some more laptops and some speakers.
Yeah, no, I'm hanging up.
Maureen, you're on there twice.
My computer.
Yeah,
I know.
twice. There you go.
David, I've got a little something on the lending thing. I talked to a lender customer who's a national mortgage broker operating in most states. They said, I asked them what we could expect for volume heading out, and they said that the residential refi business has kind of dried up as far as their availability, access to money, and that this particular lender said they're not really doing any residential refi apps right now. They're focusing on purchase only, and that they're expecting at least a 30-day delay to get back to residential lending, refinance lending, I should say.
I have a question
Yeah.
with all these experts on the line here. So we've taken the approach to really reach out to our customers and connect with them during this time. So we've all been tasked to reach out to every single one of our title agents and just see how they're doing, blah, blah, blah. I had a question from a title agent that does national business. I've been sharing the Alta information, Cornelia, with regards to where all of the recording jurisdictions, the live document that you have that changes where they're open and what they're doing. And then I also spoke email about Ron and how Alta's working to get that passed. They had a question that was, they can't understand what the difference is between remote online notary and FaceTime signing. Getting a picture of the borrower with their ID, explain the documents while on FaceTime, then all the originals get FedEx back, dispersed, and record. So can somebody help me with that question so I can respond to them, please?
Yeah, the FaceTime. Yeah, most states, in fact, I believe every state has a requirement that the entire notarial act be recorded and preserved for a period of time. And most of the states that I've seen is about 7 to 10 years. So right now, recording a FaceTime doesn't comply with your state's law. It needs to be preserved more than in your camera roll. It needs to be preserved by a third-party vendor with some serious security, because you're talking about money, people, and private information. So I've answered the FaceTime question 7,000 times this week from interested realtors who just say, well, can't you just see them in FaceTime? Yes, and it's a better picture, but it's not preserved the way the law requires.
I think in Washington, our law also indicated that we would have to, the platform we use has to be on a list of approved platforms, which of course our rules aren't out yet, so we don't have that list. That's part of that whole, we need the emergency package to move this forward, but I know FaceTime will not be on that list.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that helps a lot. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Andy, what are you seeing with your new gig with Millennial? Are you guys are mostly commercial though, right? Are you running into a lot?
No, we're still doing everything we've done in Nashville as we always have residential, but
Okay.
But when it comes to, I mean, we're in 16 states, but I'm still seeing people face to face. We're prepared to do Ron Note because we're active in Tennessee to be Ron. We're working with Pavazo and some other of the platforms because you control the transaction that way. And so, but no, we're ready to go electronic or Ron online notary, whichever way it goes. But with when it comes to, we're still doing face to face.
Yeah.
I'm still shaking hands and hugging. So what the hell?
Oh boy, you're patient zero. There you go.
I'm living dangerously, man.
As long as you're not laying on hands. So, Joe, Joe, you're dealing in multiple states. I mean, where are the pain points coming for you guys?
It's really just questions. You know, some of them are asking for a little bit of a crystal ball. You know, our closing is late next week or first of next month. Are we going to have any problems closing? You know, and some of those questions are impossible to answer, but we answer them. You know, if the situation then is as it is today, here's how we can accommodate that, and so forth. So it's just trying to educate the customers, the commercial counsel, the parties that, I really think everybody in our industry is doing everything that they can to bring deals to the table. So it's just being creative sometimes as well, to get things done. We had a courthouse that we were dealing with in Virginia where they were not e-recording and they were not open for physical recording, but they would accept appointments to have you come in one at a time.
Okay.
And they gave you an email address to do so. And so I emailed them. I said, I would like to set up an appointment. And got a response pretty quickly and said, okay, what time? And so I said, okay, how about 3:30? So they set us up an appointment, and it was very, very nice, good interaction with the government. So you'll find that, I guess, from time to time. But just, some people, I guess, are just scared, confused, asking a lot of questions. But that's par for the course.
Yep.
And we'll get through it.
Mary, you're affiliated with a Ron vendor with Pavaso. I know Pavaso started out as a platform working with outside notaries, correct? Outside Ron notaries. Are you guys adding a network as well?
Yeah, they've been very active in expanding that. I'll tell you, we've seen outside of Pavaso, but including Pavaso, but at RenQuest, we've seen exceedingly high interest in all things online, whether it be Ron or for states that don't have the Ron capability, just to be able to pre-sign documents that don't require notarization. And in fact, to your earlier point, we're worried about our smaller agents, especially in rural counties, who maybe don't have the online or paperless model already in place. There's been a real scramble there. But a lot of times in those rural counties, the records only go back to the mid-'80s. So nice if you need to do a little refi. But if you have a bigger deal to work, which is, a lot of times your better revenue source, they're just not able to get access to those records. Some of them don't have the ability to e-record in their counties. Some of them do, but haven't fully engaged in that. So this is forcing them to really do kind of a, oh my gosh, embrace of that stuff. And so what we're seeing is a real need for training, implementation, and expertise on that. Also, interestingly, and this was a question I had for the group, we are beginning to hear, because as we worry about, especially our smaller agents' financial health, we're beginning to hear, yes, we have a great pipeline, but they're having stories of appraisers don't want to go to homes to do appraisals. Or the banks call for a VOE and the phone, they call the employer for a VOE and the phone just rings and rings because people are working remotely and they don't necessarily have their phone set up to roll remotely. So while everybody's got a great order count sitting in their pipeline, technically we are becoming concerned about their ability to do order fulfillment even in that interim in between. How do you handle the closing if you don't have Ron in your state? So I want to know if you guys, it sounds like Andy, you've seen some of that.
I think the underwriters have done a phenomenal job with a couple issues. One, after the docs are closed, to get them recorded in counties where the counties are closed, yet they allow e-recording. It seems to be less of an issue. Underwriters seem to all be on the same page there. But where the county doesn't accept e-recording, and it's closed, the fact that underwriters are willing to allow us to close and ensure, have us stack up all these originals, and then when things resume to normal, rush to the courthouse, I think that's pretty good. I initially thought the underwriters were going to just cut everything off, which would be a disaster for that economy. The other on the title side, having electronic access into the courthouse records or your own title plant is great, but if the courthouse is closed for guests and you can only search back a limited amount of time and you can't do your full title search, I've been pretty impressed with a few underwriters' ability to say, all right, normally we want you to search back 500 million years. Now you just need to search back a quarter billion years, and let's at least take some chances and get this thing done. So
Yeah.
I've been impressed by the underwriters. Honestly, I don't know if you guys are experiencing that in your markets.
Absolutely.
I know a few underwriters are on here too, so not to.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Hey there, TJ. He's back.
Hey guys.
So, well, Craig, it's interesting you bring that up because we just received our first minor headwind with that, and it actually came from Fannie. And Cornelia, I just emailed Diane about this because she's got, she knows people. The affidavit that we want to have signed by the seller that says, hey, you're going to indemnify if there's any problems in the gap that you're causing. That I think every underwriter has that indemnity that that states if this is not recorded timely, we there's a gap. Fannie's not signing that. So on their REO deals, that's going to be a little problematic.
We've never had them sign it on an REO deal anyway. So you're going to see.
I understand that, but this is kind of a special situation right here. So.
Yeah, but I mean, how would you ever enforce an indemnity?
As the gap's potentially getting a lot longer.
Yeah. I think
they won't even sign a regular owner's affidavit. So how are you going to get them to sign special indemnity?
That's what I'm saying is that maybe we can get them to bend on this because everybody's giving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is something where the underwriters, we're giving a lot on this, and title agents are too, and lenders are. So it's about time they bent maybe a little bit. So. Just saying. I emailed Diane. Maybe she can get with Mark or somebody over there.
Is any title agents or any of you underwriter folks that are in production, any hiccups where you just flat out can't do it in certain markets anymore, or has everyone pretty much overcome the lack of records or access?
I don't think we're a hard no anywhere yet. That may happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad TJ jumped back on. It's very timely. He was just on a call with the National Notary Association. TJ, you want to give us just a quick couple minutes on what went on in that call? I think you guys will all be very interested to learn about this one.
I had to use my dad voice on the call to get the NNA to do something. So long story short, this is what came up over last night, and we've seen it evolve during the day today. And again, I apologize for the goofy ear set. I'm out of cell phone juice. The long story short was apparently a notary called the Secretary of State's office in California to get clarity as to whether the notarization was an act that was considered part of an essential service under the governor's order. And they got a staffer, they got somebody or something, and they got an answer that no, notarization is not an essential service. So they went to the notary boards and said, oh, hey, and they were told also that there would be a fine and potentially the risk of their notary commission should they violate the governor's order. So obviously that sent the social media ablaze for the notary rotary the type of message boards, which is always a den of iniquity as it is. And so that had us for the latter part of the evening and the first part of this morning having mass cancellations. So first thing this morning, we reached out to Chris Sturdivant with the very clear ask that we wanted an industry partner, a la an Alta or an NNA, a non-stakeholder like a BNT or an Antic can't go, hey, you're doing the wrong thing. We're obviously incentivized to have them close, right? That's our business is to have people close loans. So why would a notary would not necessarily take our statement at face value. So we wanted the NNA to come out with it. We did a legal analysis and we feel fairly comfortable from the top down of the company that the act of extending credit as part of the life cycle of banking is considered an essential activity. There's a whole thing about Homeland Security and 18 or 16 essential businesses and how we break into that and how we in title and settlement and notaries support that essential credit extension and financing. So we believe that extends down. We were hoping for something out of the NNA. They did not want to take a strong stance, but supported that, well, if you take a strong stance, we'll be right behind you. My thing is that the NNA does have the ear of the California Secretary of State's office. They work very closely hand in hand. A lot of the education materials and the manuals that they put out are produced with support of the various Secretaries of State's office. And so if there's somebody who is errantly using the Secretary of State's name or truthfully reporting an interaction with the Secretary of State, they have to be aware that they are shutting the mortgage industry down in California, the biggest market, 30-something plus % of volume,
Yep.
grinding our economy to a halt. And I get health and safety, and there's a place for that, and we're going to design processes to make it healthier and safest as possible for both our notaries and our borrowers. But shutting shop down doesn't help anybody, because honestly, you're going to die if you can't eat.
Right. Well,
That's absolutely going to kill you.
For those that don't yet have your shelter-in-place order, and I think they're probably coming to most states, it might be a good time to lobby on that a little bit with your governor's office. Illinois, again, we just got ours at 3 p.m. and it's effective at 5 p.m. tomorrow, but there is an exemption not only for banking, but financial services sector, also attorneys for critical actions related. So I feel like we can kind of zoom in under that. And I think it's a good point that people aren't thinking about, because they're thinking about so many things. They think, okay, we'll keep banking open, but they don't understand sort of the rest of us in the supply chain need to come in under that. So there's an opportunity there to educate.
Yeah, I know Elizabeth's been talking to a lot of the states with trying to get, the financial services side written in. And I think Maryland even had the word settlement added into their regs, or their notice. So definitely, talk to her too. And if I can find some more information on any of the language that they've used, I'll share that with y'all.
Awesome.
I want to point out that this is the longest I've been on a phone call without Joe Powell yelling at me, stemming from my time when I was at ServiceLink. Joe, how you doing, man? Good to see you again. Glad I haven't run afoul of anything in your state.
Watch out, TJ.
Man, it's been a bit. Hope you're doing well.
Absolutely.
This is what that float's bringing people together. That's what we're united.
I'd like to interrupt for a moment. I want to see Mary's puppy.
Where'd she go?
Oh, there she is. There she.
Here's the.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh! Brought together.
He's a risky one.
She's camera shy.
Normally she's pretty mellow, but she and Sissy are playing right now. She and Grace are having WrestleMania, so
nice.
She's
oh, nice.
Look at her.
Let me throw out a somewhat uncomfortable topic, and maybe we could see if there's some good segue. Yeah, that'll cool things off. So, the shelter in place and all that. I mean, if it essentially shuts down title agents and shuts down the to some extent the production, I mean, we probably have a lot of colleagues in all of our states that are going to be in financial trouble here, and despite the bailouts or whatever the stimulus packages that are coming, I think there's a real chance for a real ugly situation with, I'm not even saying small, large, medium companies or title agencies that are going to have a hell of a time, payroll checks, rents, all sorts of things if there's a slowdown or a stoppage of any type of real estate activity. So it's, I think it even goes all the way up to the underwriters. You've got thousands of agents that you're going to need to keep an eye on, I assume. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're letting our customers know that, these are tough times. We're all in it together. If you're having any issues with making, your commitments, just reach out, give us a call. We'll see if we can do some terms. I mean, we don't want to become the bank either, but, short term until this SBA stuff gets sorted out, especially, I hope that no one has any fear of reaching out and asking for some accommodations.
I do want to throw this in as well. Like, we as a bank, we bank title companies. That's what we do. And we have lines of credit that can go through very quickly. So if you are looking for a line of credit, I'm happy to talk to you and send you on to we have lenders that are very familiar with title companies. I'm on the deposit side, but we work hand in hand in tandem. So I'm happy if you know of anyone that maybe needs some assistance, please, I'm happy to assist.
I'm just interested to ask everyone, to the extent you have your crystal ball shined up, what you think about the pipeline. I mean, I've had people on both agency and commercial say, we're still just working, nobody's canceled, we're full capacity, whatever, and all, not affected us. But then we also have the normal amount of terminations or cancellations that you'd always expect. But it just seems to me that if this continues, it would seem to have a chilling effect on people's need. Their time is of the essence to close anything, whether it be refi or or what have you. They would just kind of step back. That's just a prediction.
Yeah. So Joe, I got a market analysis today from the Blackstone family, and I've had a couple of calls with financial advisors and other market players. So there's a couple of things going on. Number one, all the non-QM lending has dried up, period. Everyone's stopped doing non-QM. You're looking at just agency paper. So Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA, the credit box is tightened. People are raising rates. On the commercial side, you see bigger deals being pushed through. We have a very sizable deal in New Jersey that's million with a couple zeros that's being pushed through by a South Korea investor. And that's the last deal that they're going to do this year, probably. They're very concerned about the market. And unless they've already signed a commitment to lend, you see people being very thoughtful about what it is that they're extending for credit. So the bigger deals are going to start slowing down. The commercial deals that are smaller are going to start slowing down, or the credit box is going to be really tight. We're going to go back to very tight box lending, and you're going to have people fall out because they lose their jobs. Quite frankly, we had unemployment numbers in North Carolina today that was in the six figures versus in the 5 figures versus just 4 figures on a daily. So we already had people starting to lose their jobs from an economic impact, most notably in the service industry. So anyone who's making a loan in that place, and it's going to domino down to where you might have loans in pipeline fall out. Lenders are still committed to working their pipeline. They're still committed to extending rate locks and kind of finishing it out. But we're going to see some pretty big consequences in the next probably 2 or 3 months, from record highs in February down to probably April, May, finishing that pipeline out, and then a really big question mark: what happens next? And now I need a drink. I actually need to call. I need to call Nathan Bosters back. So I'm going to step away. Thanks, guys.
I've taken HR questions all day today from staff that are curious of how this is going to work out based on the new Family Paid Sick Leave Act, based on their fear of coming into the office, based on are we sheltering in place? Are we exempt? Are we not? So I had that on one of the questions I wanted to ask you all is what type of impact are you seeing, personnel-wise right now? And it's a nonstop occurrence in my office as far as trying to figure out what's fair. But I would say on our side, most of our title people have easy access into title plants or remotely, and the closers physically coming to the office has been the one concern that we will have. Right now it seems to be okay, but that's the issue here. Yeah, that could kill everything. We can't get loans closed, we're done. I mean, not done, but you know what I'm saying. It's a whole different world if we can't close a loan.
Yep. We got a new attendee here. Wayne has joined us.
Wayne, cheers.
Hello, sir.
Cheers.
Oh, there he is.
Cheers.
All right. Wayne's got some of that Mad Dog 2020 in a fancy glass.
What's Brett seeing? Are you still in the office, Brett?
Yeah. I'm still here. Now that Brian's off the line, I had my LaCroix, but I printed out my my label here. I can maybe bad taste in the label, but got my hand sanitizer, so.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I'm still here.
What's going on in your world?
I spend less of my time putting out the fires on the ground and more of my time trying to look into the crystal ball. And of course, there's a lot of things that I could see that could turn this faucet off real quick. I mean, numbers for us we had record high February, March still is continuing along that foot. But my impression is that a lot of those are the ones that are just rushing to get out before this really hits, before we get any type of shelter in place in Texas. And so the numbers are still high, but I think it's probably going to turn off like a faucet. I worry about things like overnight services continuing. That's another single thing that could shut it down if we can't shuffle documents around. Hopefully the Ron bill has an effect on that. And then the other thing that I try to focus on in times like this is once we finish reacting to all of this, which right now I think we're all in reaction mode, it's how do we reprioritize the projects that we've got on the schedule, because these are also the times where we're looking at, who can we repurpose, what are we going to do with them, what projects do we have in the pipeline. And now that we're not going to be crazy busy anymore, what kind of implementations and projects do we want to try to knock out in a change-resistant industry? This may be a good time to start looking at some of those things. But right now we're in pure reaction mode, but we're trying to figure out what we're going to be doing here in the next 3-4 weeks.
From a change-resistant industry is well put. I've never seen so much change as I've had I've seen this week. I mean,
yeah. Well, what's really interesting when I say change resistant, I mean from a staff perspective, and right now our staff is being very forgiving to all of the changes that we have to make because they understand what's going on. And so as we're making these changes, we're trying to be cognizant about the fact, well, what can we change now that we want to stick, right? Because if we've got all these different branch offices and we're giving a lot of discretion to our leaders at each branch level to make decisions of what those branches need to do. But we do try to encourage that they all get made in a consistent direction so that when we come out of this, there's a lot of changes that were made that were good, that we like and that we want to stick with and go forward. So how can we kind of direct that in a positive direction and use this to really slingshot us into a place that we should have been going anyways, and now we just have to.
You know what I haven't heard at all this week that I hear all the time in this wacky industry we're in is because that's the way we've always done it. I haven't heard that. I don't know if we'll ever hear that again because there's nothing the way we've always done it we're doing anymore. Like all new
what
stuff.
I've heard this week is all the things that were impossible 2 weeks ago all of a sudden seem like such a logical thing that we should be doing. And oh my gosh. And that's not just within the company, within my office. It's also when I walk across the street to my courthouse that is e-recording without the treasurer being on board. So I still have to walk any deed that needs a tax stamp and repaid. And he's really sorry that for the last 15 years we've been talking about this and it hasn't happened yet.
Isn't it shocking that this week we've still had people ask, how do I check my email from home? How do I check my voicemail from home? How do I connect my printer? Like, how did it take this crisis for you to know some business basics at home? And I'm missing a lot of fun up on the screen, whatever the heck you guys are doing.
Is this that TikTok thing that I keep seeing?
Maybe I
lost control.
The good thing I did hear today, the FedEx sent out an email. They are an essential service, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, and
That's good.
And that's going to be the long tail of the story coming out of this. We'll get through the short and even the intermediate repercussions of all this. But yeah, the long arc of the story coming out of here is, hey, we actually can do things a different way than we thought we could previously.
Yeah. And our IT guy got 5 laptops delivered today that we had ordered a few weeks ago. And he said, Craig, these 5 laptops are gold because you can't buy any. The computers are all gone. People tried to buy webcams. They're gone. Dongles. iPhones are, Apple's limiting Apple's limiting phone purchases to 2 and 2 alone.
Yeah, it's easier to find toilet paper.
Well,
Hey,
maybe
I managed to pick up 11 laptops in the last 5 days.
how?
I think some of y'all are in your second round already.
That's impressive.
That's really
Craig is just cracking up over here.
Yeah, Jason is very persuasive when he goes to
Did I lose
Walmart.
everybody?
No, Dave, you're still there.
But he's frozen.
Yep.
Oh, there he is.
Yep. So if you guys
Oh,
are
no,
not
she's
on
like 3/4
grid
of the
view,
way
you
through
should
her
be,
wine
because
bottle.
it's like Hollywood Squares. It's in the upper right-hand corner. Oh, Amy, that looks delicious. Yeah. She made it. Yeah, pond water.
I do have a question.
It has emergency in it, so it's like really, really tart.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
It's straight vodka with emergency in it. So.
You're a brave girl, Amy.
So one thing to know about Zoom is that if David is on the left hand of your screen, he's not on the left hand of everyone's screen. So when you guys are high-fiving each other, it doesn't make any sense on everyone else's screen.
Yeah. Craig, who's to your left?
Amy is I'm on the top second row. Amy's to my left and Joe's to my right.
See, I'm between you and Amy.
Yeah, see,
you're in the top left corner.
I got Craig and Amy.
Yeah, and below me is
and
Linda.
David's below me.
Yeah, so
I'm between
five, and it was making no sense at all. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
I finally figured out what you were doing.
So Wayne,
I got a question for the group. Maybe we'll ask.
Oh, Craig's got a question.
There's my screen.
There it is. Question for the group. Tell me something that you are doing either at the office that I haven't heard of yet, or at your house that I haven't heard of yet as far as working. So, like, don't tell me that you're throwing your pens away. We get that. Don't tell me you put hand sanitizer. We get that. Does anybody have anything unique that we haven't thought of yet that we can all take back?
Not showering.
I didn't hear you.
What?
Not showering.
Not showering. Yeah. Well, Craig, we did what we're doing here yesterday with our whole staff. Todd was on, a bunch of others, and it was great just to let off steam with everybody. We had an all Zoom happy hour with everybody in our company, and everybody had a cocktail, and it was an absolute blast. So that's something we had never done before. That now I'm like, I don't care when this is over, we're still going to do it because we have so many remote workers anyway. It's so important to be able to connect, and I think that's something that'll carry on even after this is over.
Wayne, what about you?
Our team is 100% remote 100% of the time anyway, so but this has presented all new challenges for us even. Something that we started doing is at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, I do a video update to our entire team, just letting them know what's changed in the last 12 hours because it's changing hourly for us, for people everywhere. So that's that's been helping them, and it's kept them energized, and they send video replies back and kind of feel like they're involved in the process.
What do you use for that? What kind of technology?
BombBomb.
BombBomb, recently at Alta Springboard.
Right.
I saw a new feature at our office today I did not know existed before, but apparently there's a procedure in place where we normally have 2 check signers for every check, and that's not a problem when you have 50 people in the office, but when they're all remote, it becomes a problem. So we have a backup where the checks can be digitally approved remotely, so that was very helpful.
Why don't you digitally approve me some of that Fidelity money, Joe? Come on, make it happen.
Yeah, that is very nice to be able to sign a check from my house here by logging into my credentials and spit a pre-signed check out of a Micker printer, 4 states away. That is a very, very handy feature. Thank you, software.
As a bank, we've been preparing for that for a long time.
Thank you.
That's one of the things we talk about.
So one of our friends, I won't name him, but he's a big title agent out west. His big problem this week with remote working is all of their employees 2-factor authenticate to their server, but they use the key fobs or the little fobs that like our company uses the authenticate to your phones.
Authenticator app, yep.
But they are going all over their state, which is a big state out west, looking for these fobs. They're buying hundreds of them as fast as they can get them. And he said they've just run out of, so they've got some people that want to work from home. They don't have enough fobs. They can't authenticate them back to the server. I found that fascinating.
What other issues you guys running into? We got a pretty good group of different experts around here. Throw it out there. Potpourri time.
Todd's been quiet. Although I'm dying to know what he's drinking.
Yeah, that was an old fashioned.
Yeah, if you guys don't know Todd, this is Todd Mandolia, our COO for Antic.
Fancy.
The new guy.
He's right. He's in Dallas, Texas.
That's fancy, Todd. Old fashioned.
Mary, thank you. Although I'm Dallas, but Houston, okay.
Galena, Illinois.
I'm a Dallas girl. I've only been in Galena for 4 months now, so.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know
Todd's doing a lot of stuff with us as far as just more, state expansion, growth, stuff like that. So, I mean, Todd, what are you seeing in all this joy?
Well, I think we're going to come out of this, and everybody's going to realize, as an industry, we've really missed the curve on technology. So, I think in terms of the expansion of the technology base that we have as a title and agency industry, that will expand exponentially over the coming months. If we had good technology in place, a lot of these issues we're worried about really would maybe not even be there right now. So
yeah, my hope is this would be a great leap forward for the county recorders.
Absolutely.
I would love to, and we kind of discussed this on the underwriter executive call earlier this week, and in any type of aid, getting money to the counties to make sure they're more digital and able to e-record. There's no reason we couldn't have e-recording in every county in this country.
Well, hopefully this puts a little bit of pressure on those county recorders that have been reluctant to adopt RON. And
They have their technology fees in place, most of them, so let's spend a little of it.
Well, their technology fees go to keeping their microfiche machines running.
I know.
Just
So-
charge more.
And
It
unfortunately,
has to pay their ransomware when
yeah.
they're attacked.
Thank you, Baltimore. Yeah. And, well, and the other thing is, a lot of these recorders their budget is determined by the county. And if the counties are like roads and bridges, recorder of deeds, roads and bridges, that's what gets them elected, the county commissioner. So
Ours are all self-supported, thank goodness.
Oh, that's good.
Fees.
That's good. A lot.
yeah,
of
but I also think the first time we have people who can't take advantage of these interest rates because the recorders aren't in the office, I think that becomes an issue. It's something that at least it draws attention to the matter.
Oh yeah, yeah. No question. I mean, this is exposing a lot of the weaknesses in the lending and real estate finance chain that we've all felt, but it's kind of been papered over because there's local agents that are dealing with this, and you've been able to do it where they can go in and record, and it's been great. But now that if a national lender can't get something recorded in a smaller county, well, that's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
For this kind of came up earlier on the call. Somebody had asked about how some of the smaller agents are handling it. So I wanted to show SBA.gov just released their disaster assistance loan program. And so that's important. And then another website that everyone should be familiar with is howmuchtoiletpaper.com. So I'm good.
Excellent.
It does the math. Yeah. It does the math for you. So two good websites.
I have put RFID tags on all of the toilet paper rolls in our office just to make sure that there's no spillage.
So I will admit today that I found a hotel supply company that still has toilet paper in stock, and the smallest denomination of rolls that I could order was 80. So I have 80 rolls on the way in the next probably 10 days. So I can probably make it through on what I have, and I'll be set for probably a while.
And it's single ply.
You're like that hand sanitizer guy.
That's pretty
well,
rough.
I sprung for the double ply super executive hotel.
Ooh.
You still have to double it over.
There's always 200 grit sandpaper at the hardware store.
I expect to fold it into a little triangle when you put it on, just like a hotel would.
I listen, totally will, and I am setting limitations with my 11-year-old son that he's got a maximum of X amount of squares to use per transaction. So as to not blow through our,
I can't spare.
I'm not policing it. It's not enforceable.
That's awesome. I saw a great meme the other day that said beards, not mullets, when it comes to the way you need to, put your toilet paper to dispense. Beards, not mullets. So it goes
Yeah, that's right.
forward, not back. That's
So
the
I
type
have
of
a question
hard-hitting
for
stuff you're going to
Todd.
get here that floats.
We've lost control of this meeting.
Okay, question for Todd. Is that your Peloton in the background? The TV screen?
No, it's Amazon Music actually.
Gotcha.
No,
It
he's not in
totally looks
prison.
like one of my Peloton trainers.
Oh, no, not me.
Nice. Hey, that Peloton ad is not looking so bad anymore, is it?
I know.
Right?
Hey, I got
Well,
another,
and who knew Howie Mandel was the most rational person in America?
I gotta get you guys back
A lot
on
of things
track.
have changed.
Well, correct.
You put Dave in charge of anything, we just totally lose control of everything. I want to throw it to Wayne again. I just want to know, because Wayne's like communication guy, right? He's the guy that you want the world to know something. You just ask Wayne to tell the world, and then everyone knows. So my question for him from a title perspective is, your clients or maybe your new customers or whatever you've done in the last week or so, what are you seeing? What are we all asking you to spread the word about? That we're still here, or?
A little bit of everything. I think it started with, we're still here, we're throwing away pins, we're cleaning our office. That was Monday, and then it kind of evolved from there. It kind of depends on the size of the company, it seems. It seems like our smallest guys are dealing with lots of strange competitive rumors and stuff that are being started. That small, I don't know if it's smaller towns or I don't know what it is, but lots of little fires of, hey, they're saying that we aren't taking this kind of deal. We're not able to close these types of loans, whatever it might be. Can you help? We need to put something out right away, whatever it is. Their problem, I think everybody's problem is they think that the news outlets locally all care about what's happening with their individual company at any given moment. So that's been a hard learning curve this week. You're not going to get the paper or the TV station to cover every little thing you're doing. But it's caused a lot of them, I think a lot of them have figured out the capabilities of communicating with their customer lists in ways that they hadn't thought about previously. But as far as other stuff that they're talking about, I mean, some are taking the kind of tack that you are, Craig, with kind of barreling headfirst into everything with remote online notarization. Some are being very upfront that they don't think that's going to happen in their state. So here are all the ways that they can get around it until the federal bill is passed. That kind of stuff, really, it's been very different, and it has been drastically different in the small companies compared to the large companies that we work with.
Is the local media in any of the markets you're dealing with, are they interested in hearing anything in the title perspective, or are they too busy with just overall panic? Or
we've gotten interest when we've positioned it as people that have been waiting to buy a home. First-time home buyers aren't able to achieve the American dream, that kind of thing. They're not able to. They've saved the money, they've been told, they've gone through all the right steps, and now because of this, they're not going to be able to buy their home because a county office isn't open or isn't accepting any recordings or whatever it might be. So we've gotten some buzz in that regard. Usually, so far, it's been from the business journals, not necessarily from city papers and stuff like that, but from the business journals and the capitals, we've done some pickup so far.
that makes sense. I think that if we can prove the Wayne model works for title companies, I'm speaking from title agent perspective, the work from home, we're about to prove to what I've wondered for a long time is how productive can our staff be if they're not at home? And if that's the case, I've got some really bad news for about 65 landlords when it comes time for lease renewal.
Not as hard as everybody thought.
Well, let's see. All right, Dave, back to you, bud.
Well, let's see, guys. We're coming up on 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. I want to be happy hour, not happy 2 hours. But we just kind of wanted to get together and chat about what everybody's got going on. And I think, has everybody enjoyed this?
Absolutely. I think we should make this a regular thing.
we'd love to have this again. Do another interactive that floats.
I'd like to
Drink more alcohol though.
I'd like to see what happens Monday. There's a lot that could happen this weekend. I'm curious if we're all still on the screen on Monday with the smiles that we've all had.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, Craig, you want to do another one of these later next week, maybe midweek or something like that?
We'll keep an eye on that float social stuff. We'll put it out there. David will upload this to me here in a little bit. I'll edit it and put it out on the internets, and we'll plug it next week and see if anybody else is out there.
PJ will scrub it so that Chase doesn't get mad at you.
I don't see how long Linda can go without showering.
I'd also
You're not here.
like to thank Maureen for being our guest on 2 episodes ago. That floats with a great story, and then yesterday we put Dr. Cindy McGovern's up there. We've got this, and I also have one that we did with the boys from DeBello on how we didn't get into this, but how sort of a remote workforce might be able to help with some of the tasks we all do in our jobs in lieu of the people that aren't actually working right now. So we'll put that up there and see what we get next week.
Yeah, and we really just appreciate the support of that floats. So Amy, one of our top floaties here, she's a big supporter. So thank you.
And just remember, every time that David takes a pot shot at his legal counsel, that's really me. So just so you hear those jokes, it's me.
There you go. So thanks all. Have a good Friday and rest of the weekend.
Yeah, y'all too.
Thanks everybody. Take care. Good to see y'all.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Let the rhythm just. Let the rhythm